At 4 miles above sea level, Martin Quarrier, on silver wings, was pierced by celestial light. To fall from such a height, he thought, would be like entering heaven from above. The snow peaks of the Andes burst from clouds which hid the earth, sparkling in the sun like gates of paradise, and the blue dome of the mountain sky was as pure as the Lord's pain. Where the clouds parted, it was true, dark lakes reflected wild demonic gleams, but the red roofs of the villages on the lone road traversing the Sierra were signals of sane harmonies, goodwill to men. Quarrier, at his window on the firmament, could barely restrain a warble of pure joy. Instead, he whistled tunelessly and hummed, until his wife in the seat behind him told him that he sounded like a kettle. He stroked the head of his little boy, whose nose was pressed into the fog made by their breaths upon the glass. The snowfields had scarcely passed from view when Billy Quarrier first thought he saw wild Indians and jaguars and anacondas. Look, Pa, right down there." "Where does he come by such outlandish notions?" Martin turned around and gazed affectionately at his big wife. His wife amused him. Her pale face looked lye-scrubbed, and a sour expression camouflaged native handsomeness, as if this character, like her humor, was something to be suppressed. To cheer her, he made his joke about a heavenly descent, and laughed when she would not laugh. He said, "Now, sweetheart, there are jaguars and anacondas here, that's all." Kneeling on his seat, hands resting on its top, he loomed above her, anxious to interest her in all the information with which he had prepared himself. But she was not an easy person to reach out to, and he drew back a little when her hand dropped out of habit to tug down the hem of her dress. "Many of these tribes consider the anaconda their ancestor," he said. "They think their shaman is a jaguar. I mean, that he can become a jaguar at night." Hazel shifted fretfully. "Look at him kneeling on his seat. Why does he kneel like that?" "Shamans," she said. "That's why the Lord has sent us here, to rescue these poor heathens from such darkness." When he smiled vaguely, turning away, she said, "You shouldn't have filled your own head with such fiddle-faddle, let alone an innocent child. All he can think about are savages and those awful snakes and jungle animals." She tried to smile at him to show that she was not quite serious, but she could not. The airplane had made her feel much too upset. Nevertheless, it seemed appropriate that they should undergo some sacrifice and even hardship in the performance of their Christian duty, and she was therefore content to enter a terrain so remote from the green, bright plains of North Dakota, where Satan, as her father said, had been run clean across the country. The high peaks of the Cordillera fell away, marching down the southern sky toward Tierra del Fuego. The plain lost altitude. Brown wastelands of the alpine tundra surged in the cloud plateaus, and far lone huts, untouched by sun, looked uninhabited. The sky lakes of the glaciers turned dull green, then black, and the white overcast turned gray. Clouds gasped up out of sudden chasms, swirled from the earth like vile subterranean vapors. Tundra gave way to chaparral, and chaparral to the trees of the high forest. The dark vapors forsook the trees, and drifting touched the plain. A vulture tilted outward and away. Now the airplane plummeted and slid down the east slope of the Sierra. Hazel Quarrier moaned, and her husband went back to her and took her hand. The mists swarmed past the window, and the cabin darkened. Lights, flickering off and on, bounced and shuddered with the plane itself, which roared confusedly in its descent through the updrafts of the cloud forest. Then the window cleared again. They had forsaken the realm of sunlight for a nether world of dark, enormous greens, wild, strangled greens veined by brown rivers of hot rain, the Andean rain, implacable and mighty as the rain that fell on those sunless days when the earth cooled. Madre de Dios, already in view, formed a yellow scar in the green waste. With its litter of rust and rotting thatch and mud, the capital of Oriente State resembled a great trash heap, smoking sullenly in the monotony.